You ever look at someone, anyone, and just get this weird, fleeting thought, how do I really know there's anything going on inside their head? It sounds like a strange question, I know, but it's actually one of the deepest, most personal puzzles in all of philosophy. So today, let's try to unravel it.
So, where does a mystery like this even begin? Well, it all starts with one simple fact. Every single mind, with the possible exception of your own, is a complete and total black box.
This is what philosophers call the problem of other minds. And it's a problem because you and I have completely different ways of knowing our own minds versus knowing the minds of other people.
Okay, so this slide really breaks down that fundamental gap. You experience your own thoughts, right? Your own feeling of pain or happiness. It's direct, it's private, it's internal. You just feel it. But for everybody else, all you ever get to see is their behavior from the outside. You see their actions, you hear their words, you watch their facial expressions. You can't feel their sadness, you can only see them cry.
Now, that gap we were just talking about, it turns into a massive chasm when we bring in a classic philosophical idea about what the mind even is. And this is where the dilemma gets really deep.
This idea is called substance dualism, and it's most famously connected to René Descartes. It's the belief that your mind, your consciousness, yourself, is a totally non-physical thing that's completely separate from your physical body. You know, like a ghost in the machine.
And right there, that's the dilemma. If the mind and the body are completely separate things, you could see a body walking around, talking, doing things, but you'd have no way of knowing for sure if there's a ghost inside. For all you know, it could just be a mindless machine, what philosophers call a philosophical zombie, just acting exactly like a person but with zero inner experience, nothing going on inside at all.
So, how do we get out of this skeptical nightmare? Well, the most common sense way, the thing most of us probably do without thinking, is called the analogy argument. It's kind of the first major clue in our investigation here. The logic here seems pretty solid, doesn't it? It goes something like this. Step 1, I know I have a mind. Step 2, I know that my thoughts and feelings cause my behavior. You know, when I feel sad, that causes me to cry. Step 3, I look around and see other people who look and act a lot like me. So 4, I reason by analogy that their similar behavior must have a similar cause, which leads to the conclusion, other people have minds too.
But, and this is a huge but, there's a critical flaw. This whole argument makes a massive generalization based on a single case. Just one, your own. Think about it. It's like finding a single dog that happens to have 3 legs and then concluding that all dogs everywhere must have 3 legs. It's just bad reasoning. You can't generalize from a sample size of 1, because for all you know, you might be the weird exception, the only one with a mind.
Okay, so that first lead went cold pretty fast. Let's try a different angle, maybe something a little more scientific. Maybe we don't need a one-to-one analogy, maybe we just need the best overall theory.
This is a tool that scientists use all the time. It's called inference to the best explanation. Basically, instead of starting from your own private feelings, you look at all the public evidence out there, all of human behavior, and you just ask, what's the single best hypothesis that explains all of this stuff?
So now we've got 2 competing theories on the table. Hypothesis 1 says everyone else is just a mindless machine, a complex robot. Hypothesis 2 says other people have minds, and their mental states, their beliefs, their desires, their feelings, are what cause them to act the way they do.
So which theory explains things better? Well, it's not even close, is it? The idea that people have minds is just a way more powerful explanation. It explains why someone pulls their hand away from a hot stove, because they feel pain. It explains why someone studies all night for an exam, because they have a desire to pass. The whole complex robot idea, it just can't really explain the why behind all this flexible, goal-oriented behavior.
All right, now for a really fascinating twist. We tend to blame Descartes and his whole mind-body dualism thing for getting us into this mess. But what was his actual answer to the problem? Turns out a lot of people have been getting it wrong.
So in this super famous passage, Descartes is talking about looking out his window. He sees what look like people, but then he realizes all he actually sees are hats and coats, which could conceal robots. And then he says he judges that they are men. That word judges is key. It sounds like he's making an inference.
Now, a lot of people have read that and assumed Descartes was just using that same flawed argument from analogy we already talked about. But as the philosopher Anita Avramaitis points out, that's a total misreading. Descartes wasn't arguing from his own case at all. He actually proposed a much more sophisticated, objective method for telling a person apart from a machine. Descartes laid out 2 key tests. First, language use.
A true mind can use words creatively to respond to pretty much anything you say to it. It doesn't just parrot back pre-programmed phrases. And second, adaptable intelligence. A machine might be amazing at one specific task, like playing chess, but a real mind can apply reason to solve all sorts of different problems in all kinds of new situations. For Descartes, if something could pass these two tests, you could be confident it had a mind.
So, where does that leave us? Can we prove with 100% absolute certainty that other minds exist? Well, no. The skeptical problem is always a logical possibility. But when you combine the massive explanatory power of the other mind's hypothesis with Descartes' pretty practical tests for language and reason, the case for other minds is incredibly strong.
And this brings us crashing right into our own time. Because this 400-year-old philosophical puzzle, it's not just a thought experiment anymore. As AI gets more and more sophisticated, it's getting shockingly close to passing Descartes' tests. So the final question really is for you. When an AI can talk and reason so well that it's indistinguishable from a person, how will we ever know for sure if there's really anyone home?